Hey y'all, this is Bobcat. Out here I want to make a review of my belt knife here, which is a Mora knife. I'm not sure exactly what model. It's a Christmas present, and I don't read Swedish, which Mora knives are made in Sweden. It says back here, which you can't see because the lighting is strange. It says so on the blade too, I'll show you that later. It's from Sweden. It's kind of pricey. These things run $60 to $100 or more. It's a good knife. It's definitely worth it. It's got this hard plastic case. I've fallen on it quite a few times, and it still holds up. It holds the knife. See, it took a lot of shaking. The knife itself, which is now all dusty, has a hard rubber handle. It's got a good grip. I've never lost my grip on this knife. It's got a 3-inch blade with the blade running all the way back here. Some knives will have a flat spot back here that won't cut, or they'll have serrations, which are good for cutting wood, but kind of inconvenient for anything else, especially if you want to actually use the first part of your knife where you have the most control. This one doesn't do that. Blade goes all the way back to the hilt. It came from the factory really sharp. I cut myself with it when I opened it. That was my stupidity, not anything to do with the knife, so don't be stupid. Anyway, it's a good carbon steel blade, so you can strike fires with it. I'll talk about that later. And, yeah, it's a good knife. So I'm going to move to where I can actually set things down and do better demonstrations, and I'll show you some of the features of the knife. So, somewhere where there's a little better lighting, so maybe you can see the markings on the blade here. This is Mora knife, which I guess is in Swedish. Made in Sweden, carbon steel. That carbon steel is kind of an important point, because as I said earlier, you can strike it with a flint or any other really hard rock. But the biggest problem with this over stainless steel is that this will rust very quickly. I've slathered mine in actually frog lube, which is a gun lubricant slash cleaner slash protector. It's called a CLP, Clean Lubricate Protect. Got that slathered all over this, so mine doesn't rust. But it's a pretty tough little knife. I've used it for batoning wood, which is where you take your knife, you set it on top of a piece of wood, and hit it with another piece of wood. Use it to split. So, it's tough. It's done that. So, I'll get something, and I'll show you how well it cuts. Okay, so I got this about, I guess it's about a ½ inch. It's about the same size as my thumb. Piece of fur. And I'm just going to take my knife and show you how it cuts through here. And I'm sorry about this, I'm recording on the bed of my truck, so it's kind of loud. But you can see how quickly this is just kind of cutting its way through. So it's a tough knife, it's hard steel, and it's sharp, which sharpness kind of has more to do with you than the knife itself, but this knife keeps its edge very well. And there we go, I'm through the stick. So that was just a couple seconds. And that's not even half of what this knife is capable of. Alright, to further demonstrate, I've got this piece of pine, I guess, here. I can't really tell. It's old, very brittle. I'm going to take my knife, and I'm just going to show you that it cuts through it very smoothly. It's not like you have to be super clunky with it. It just kind of shaves away the wood here. So, that's a useful point. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on this Mora knife? I think this knife is worth every penny. It's a good knife. The blade is hard. You can strike a fire with it if you have a piece of flint. It holds its edge for a long time. The last time I sharpened this was probably 4 or 5 months ago, and I've used it a bit since then. Quite a bit, actually. The case is good hard plastic. It holds the knife well. I've never lost this knife while out walking. The belt clip holds onto your belt well. It's a good knife. The handle's good. It's good to hold on to. Gives you good grip. It's a good multi-purpose knife. It's a woodsman's tool. It's not a pretty knife. Well, I think it's pretty, but it's not one you hang up above the mantle. There's my truck. Don't hang your knife up above the mantle if you're going to use it. So, that's my thoughts on the Mora knife. And as a side note here, I'm not getting paid. I don't think Mora Knives even knows I exist. So this is just my honest opinion on these knives. So, there you go. This is Bobcat in the woods, and I'm out.